Should be good to go. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for September 26th, 2019. Just a quick note, I did include the link to the webinar in the description. If you didn't catch it from earlier in the week, talking about some ways to fix our bad habits, then definitely check it out. There is a description in the link there for you. All right, but let's go ahead and take a look at the market here. Qs are going to be down 1/3% there, and SPY 0.15. So not too much going on, changing here from yesterday. Okay, we got this pullback. So while from yesterday's close, not too much going on. What we did get here, which is what I think is going to be really telling here for the market, is this pivot here. Okay, now coming into today, if you recall, I was saying how the market, if we're going to get time frame alignment back and maybe some smoother moves, okay, and not choppy, sloppy kind of stuff, we're going to need to start to create the semblance of an uptrend, at least in this downtrend in the market here on this hourly chart, because the weekly, and especially on the SPY weekly and the monthly, still look higher. Okay, still look bullish, still look higher. But looking at the smaller time frames, we had gone into this downtrend, and so that told us, not to be bullish, at least in the short term. We're looking at the hourly, trying to anticipate the next hours and days, right? And so what we have now here is a higher low. So this pivot here is our first indication that maybe this hourly downtrend is coming to an end. Okay, and so if we get that to hold, okay, then we will be looking for a more bullish bias. Okay, so that's what we're going to be going into tomorrow, more bullish, all right, neutral to bullish going into tomorrow. Now we have yet to kind of end the series of lower highs here, but we are putting in a higher low. Okay, so that's really what we wanted to see coming into today. So that's good that if we can get that, I think there's a better chance that we get some smoother trading, more likely to the upside. Okay, so more bullish going into tomorrow. We've been neutral as this kind of hourly pullback's been coming in, because once we saw that the hourly uptrend had ended, right, then we knew, don't expect every sell-off to get bought, but we are starting to transition out of that hourly downtrend, right? Which is, I think, whether you're bullish or bearish, hopefully you're just into nice trading and smooth trading and clean trading. And this, what we got in August, is the opposite of that. Now, we'll always find a way, because especially if you're focused on things on their own page, and big gaps and things that are moving, you'll find things that move that aren't market dependent. So when we get into a series like this of slop and chop and stuff, right, then that's when kind of the gaps are kind of immune to that. And especially during this point, day trading was pretty decent, but I can imagine swing trading, right, becomes really, really challenging. But if we get kind of a uptrend to resume here, that should be good on all fronts for trading. Okay, so if we can get that hourly to hold, if we resume the hourly uptrend, I think that'll be good overall for smooth trading, and we can avoid that choppiness. Now, if it doesn't hold, okay, we end up breaking below here, that'll be our first indication that we're going back into this area, right? We'll see what happens from there. And that does set up the potential for us to start looking for short opportunities, but we're still a couple setups away from that, right? We've been talking about how the more likely scenario as we've been coming in is that we do, in the hourly downtrend, transition back up into an uptrend and then resume the kind of trend set by the larger time frames. Okay, all right, so going into tomorrow, more neutral to bullish. We've been neutral the last couple days. Just waiting to see if this hourly downtrend wants to end. Okay, interesting if that is the case, how it ended. You can see big volume in here, big bottoming tail to kind of end it. perhaps a little bit of uh, little, I guess, fear got a little bit ahead of itself, or the bearishness did. You get this big bottom there. And so, you always want to be careful about those kind of big volume spikes, big drops. A lot of times those do put in the bottom, like the LCI today. Now, I did have an eye on this, had it on the charts. I didn't see this coming, though. I did say yesterday keep an eye on it because I do think it's still lower. Even though it didn't want to go yesterday, we talked about kind of bearish news events that I like, that I don't like, okay, and that this one should be watched for today. But that one kind of just fell out of nowhere, so I don't think really get credit for this one, and I didn't make any money off on this, so then definitely no credit there for looking at the LCI. I just never set up, kind of fell out of nowhere, but it's not uncommon, right? Or more often than not, you'll see that when these kind of volatility spikes or increase in movement, momentum, usually do happen along the lines of least resistance, and this I thought was still looking bearish. The FDS was very, very nice today. If you played, nice little breakdown here right underneath this base. So when we talk about things being on their own page, right, and something like the FDS is an earnings event, and this is a big gap down, I think we do have to be reminded sometimes that these are going to do their own thing. They're going to fall, even if the market looks like it's coming into a bottom. So if we look at the time that the FDS was setting up this base when it got going here, right around that 11:15 reversal time, okay, and when we take a look at the Qs here, what were the Qs doing at that time? Looking like they were done. They were kind of getting a little bit ahead of themselves, and since then they only rallied. So you can see from that 11:15, rally all through lunch. And then what was the FDS doing throughout lunch? Right, making new lows. Eventually it did get picked up here, but I think that's a pretty nice move to be a part of there on the FDS. Wasn't really looking for it to be played long, but I guess you could have made the case for some kind of transition A on this. But this is really the thing that fits my trading plan here on that FDS. So you can see kept going even as the market had already put in the bottom. And then you can see on the C-trip here, which was the last play of the day here, the C-trip, and pretty much the play of the day. C-trip here, right, with the breakdown. Again, nice pro gap on the C-trip there, clearing support. This one was really nice, I thought, for its time frame alignment. See the weekly looking lower, downtrend resuming, and then the monthly as well, putting in lower highs and looking to make a new lower low there. Okay, so just a couple here to highlight. I didn't think there was a lot. I thought one of the challenging things about today was being patient, because I actually really liked a couple of the longs. One of them being the mRNS, I liked a lot. It never got going there. As soon as it kind of few minutes after the open, it wanted to come in. LGIH was another gap up that I had an eye on. Never really wanted to set up either. And so I think DHT or one of the other, DHT also, I thought if we can clear this resistance, we got a nice opportunity. So especially the longs, I was a little bit more focused on, and a lot of them got sold. And then after that, I really like this. No, not DCX, DXC. I wanted to find a way into as well. Look at it breaking there to all-time lows, putting in all-time lows, all-out downtrend, a little bit of a gap down there, and then this ended up rallying too much as well. The very first time, I think there were a couple moments in time where this DXC, I thought, okay, now we have an opportunity, but then kind of in each of those moments in time proved to me that it wasn't that bearish. So I think probably the hardest thing about today was being patient and letting those setups really kind of materialize. So thought right here we got this nice topping tail. That was going to be a 1 minute sell setup underneath that. Instead, you can see it went higher. Okay, still doing the rally, and then we got this 2 minute sell setup, very similar, and then quickly reversed, and then wanted to see a secondary entry after the strong retracement, big bottoming tail, and then instead wanted to base out sideways and really not be that bearish. So I thought that was probably the biggest challenge today, was that we had a lot of gaps to go through, a lot of gaps to look at, just not a lot of them set up. And then eventually later into the day, some of these, like this FDS after the first couple hours and the C trip here at the end of the day, were kind of the nice call outs there. Okay. So we'll see if tomorrow we can hold this newly formed hourly uptrend, okay, that's trying to put in a higher low. If we can hold that, and especially if we can get through yesterday's high, right, then we'll have that hourly uptrend in place, and then we'll be back to all out bullish on the market. Okay. We'll see if that's what we get tomorrow. Okay, and if tomorrow is another kind of inside day like it was today, then may find that out next week. All right, but that's going to do it for today's market wrap. Hopefully you did well today. If not, we'll be back at it tomorrow. All right, and I will talk to you then. All right, have a good evening.